Do you ever sleep? Because I do. I sleep. And I'm not ashamed. And about 7 months ago now, I bought this thing, the 8 Sleep Pod 3 mattress cover. It's a mattress cover that pumps water throughout itself that's either been heated or cooled for the purposes of temperature regulation, giving you a temperature-controlled bed. And in the 7 months that I've been sleeping on this thing, I've developed some opinions. So in this video, I'm gonna be giving you an unbiased, unsponsored review, giving you the good, the bad, and the infuriating about the 8 Sleep. So starting with the good. The setup process for the 8 Sleep is pretty simple and straightforward, although it is lengthy. Basically, you've got your mattress cover, which has little capillary tubes that carry the water. That mattress cover is connected to this hose, which connects into this pod. And the pod is the piece that does all the work. It's the water reservoir that holds the water, it's the water pump that moves the water throughout the system, and it's also where the water gets heated or cooled. So once you get the thing out of the box, you find a place for the pod, you get the mattress cover on, plug in the 8 Sleep, go ahead and download the app and set it up through there, and the app walks you through the rest of the setup process. It's gonna have you fill the reservoir tank with distilled water and some hydrogen peroxide. That's to keep algae and other such nastiness from growing in there. Then it goes through a priming process to get all of the air out, and that takes multiple hours. You may need to add additional water even multiple times during this process, and the app will let you know if you need to do that. Now, what's really great about the 8 Sleep, the big selling point, is that not only is it manually temperature controlled, but it also automatically adjusts temperature throughout the night. Because we know that during different stages of the night and different stages of sleep, there are different ideal temperatures. Generally, you want your body temperature to be pretty low during the middle of the night, and then you want it to gradually rise as you're getting ready to wake up. And the 8 Sleep handles all of that automatically through a feature that they call autopilot. So it's meant to keep your body in the ideal temperature depending on what stage you're in. And it even takes things into account like the outdoor temperature that particular night, the indoor temperature that particular night. And it can make adjustments based on things like your heart rate and how much you're moving around, because the 8 Sleep also has sleep tracking features. And the whole idea behind the 8 Sleep is to improve your sleep quality, so it's nice that there's built-in measurements to actually quantify that. So it measures things like your heart rate and your heart rate variability. It makes you a graph of how much time you spent in REM sleep and deep sleep. And every night it also gives you an all-around blended sleep score out of 100. Another core thing that makes 8 Sleep so great is that it can operate as either a single zone or dual zone. Meaning if you're a member of the elite group of individuals who sleeps with a partner, then the temperature of your side of the bed versus your partner's side of the bed is controlled independently. And this is a fantastic feature. So I sleep with a partner. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I sleep with a partner and my temperature preferences are very different from hers. When I'm trying to fall asleep, I typically feel too hot and it makes it difficult for me to fall asleep.
Are you kidding me? It's like a sauna in here.
She, on the other hand, tends to be cold when she goes to bed, often to the point of literally shivering. So before we had the 8 Sleep, I would have to run the AC pretty hard, especially in the summer, in order to just be comfortable enough for me to even fall asleep, which would leave her cocooned in a blanket like a caterpillar with a 10-foot high pile of additional blankets on top of her.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
In the mornings, on the other hand, I'm suddenly freezing. And the way that I had the thermostat programmed would lead my partner to wake up in a sweat before she wanted to.
You okay in here?
Why is it so hot in here?
But now that we have an 8 Sleep, that problem is completely eliminated, and not only are we both more comfortable, but I'm saving a little bit of money on my power bill too, because I don't have to run the AC so hard. Another feature I love is the temperature alarm. So you can set this up in the 8 Sleep app, you can say what time you want to wake up, and you can have your 8 Sleep slowly heat up to the point of being uncomfortable by the time you want to be getting out of bed. And this is a really nice, gentle way of waking up. It's like the sun is gently rising on your back. I do have a complaint about this feature though, which I'll get into later. Now, in addition to the temperature alarm, there's also a vibration alarm, and you can use that in addition to the temperature alarm or instead. So the vibration alarm actually vibrates the mattress cover to help wake you up. There's different vibration intensities that you can set, and this is also zoned so that you can have one partner side go off but not the others. The 8 Sleep is also really quiet. Throughout the night, it's typically entirely inaudible to me. Now, when it needs to make a large temperature adjustment, you can hear the fans ramp up a little bit, but typically you're not really making huge jumps in temperature. Usually the only time you're doing that is when the pod is going from off to on. But you're able to set your typical bedtime in the 8 Sleep app, and so it starts cooling down for you before you're even in the room. The only time I do hear the fans is if myself or my partner are really uncomfortable for whatever reason and we make a big manual adjustment in the app, forcing the 8 Sleep to work pretty hard, but even then, it's very quiet. They're using high quality fans, they're Noctua fans. Actually, if you're into like building PCs or anything, you've probably heard of that brand.
You're a nerd.
So it's very quiet. The other great thing about the 8 Sleep is how low maintenance it is. You really don't have to do much to it. The only thing you really need to do is refill the water tank every once in a while, but even that is pretty infrequent. You only have to do that like once every 3 to 6 months, I think. It alerts you in the app when you need to do it. I've had mine for 7 months and I've only had to refill it 1 time. All right, so that's the good. Now let's move on to the bad. The price is expensive. An 8 Sleep Pod 3 runs between $2,000 and $2,500 depending on the size of your mattress. I have a king size mattress, as everybody who sleeps with a partner ought to, and so I paid on the upper end of that, about $2,500. And that's a lot of money, but you know, sleep is super important. I want to get the best quality sleep that I can, and this is something that I'm going to be using for 7 to 9 hours every single night. So yeah, it's expensive, it's a lot of money, but I am able to justify it. There's also a step in the buying process itself that I found kind of confusing. You have to pick a model, and there's the Pod 2, that's just the last generation. Then there's the Pod 3, and the Pod 3 with perfect fit. And it tells you on the website that a Pod 3 cover fits between a 10 and 11-inch mattress, whereas the cover with perfect fit fits all mattresses plus increased comfort, whatever they mean by that. My mattress is about 14 inches thick, so I got the version with perfect fit, and it has a stretchy elastic bottom like a fitted sheet that you just stretch over your mattress. The regular Pod 3 cover I think comes in 2 pieces, and there's like straps involved, and then you zip the 2 pieces together. If I sound unsure, it's because I am, that's my complaint. Everything I know about the difference between these 2 things I'm inferring from videos from other YouTubers. The 8 Sleep website does a really poor job explaining the difference. I don't like that with the 8 Sleep cover on my bed, I get this little bump area where it bunches up. It just collapses flat when I lay down on top of it, so I can't feel it or anything, it's not a problem really. But I do find it annoying, and I think I'm exacerbating the problem a little bit because I do have my bed on an adjustable base, and I keep the head of the bed tilted up a little bit to elevate my head, which I think does make the bunching a little worse, but even with the bed completely flat, that bump is still there. Also, the temperature alarm. I mentioned I had a complaint about it. Here it is. I'm the type of person, all right, it takes kind of a lot to get me out of bed. So I have my temperature alarm set for 8 a.m. and I have it set as hot as the app allows. And what I've found is that once the temperature alarm reaches temperature at 8 a.m., it will only hold that temperature for about half an hour before just completely shutting off. No, that's not what I want. Sometimes I don't get out of the bed within that half hour. I want 8 Sleep to slowly cook me until I am actually out of the bed. Please, please, cook me, 8 Sleep. You have all the sensors in there so you know when I'm out of the bed. So cook me, keep cooking me. Why won't you cook me? Cook me, please. Also with the vibration alarm, even though it is zoned so that one side of the bed can go off but not the other, it still does make a noise even at the lowest setting that's loud enough to wake up your partner. My partner uses the vibration alarm and more times than not, it does wake me up. But for us, it's not really a big deal because we do get up at similar times anyway. Plus the gentle sound of that vibration alarm is still galaxies better than her phone alarm that used to go off immediately at 100% volume because of some bug in the particular alarm app she was using. That was extremely startling, so this is a huge upgrade from that. Hearing the vibration alarm is like a very gentle little, hey, it's morning. Whereas before I was waking up like this. Another downside, and this is a big one, this one's probably a deal breaker for a lot of you. If you currently sleep in the bed with a pet, especially a cat with its claws, that's gonna have to stop because they can puncture this thing and then you have a water leak on your bed, which is obviously not great. A dog, you might be able to get away with. They generally have more dull claws. So as long as they don't like to dig into the bed the way that some dogs do, you might be okay, still risky. But a cat with claws, gotta go. I mean, gotta go out of the bedroom. You don't have to sell them or anything. Unless you gotta pay for that 8 Sleep somehow. Another downside of the 8 Sleep is that there are no hardware controls. There's no remote, there's no buttons on the 8 Sleep itself. Anything you wanna do, any changes you wanna make, you gotta do through the app. You wanna make a manual temperature adjustment, you gotta unlock your phone and do it through the app. Your vibration alarm is going off and you wanna turn it off, you gotta get your phone involved. I also think that the whole sleep scoring thing that they do, while it can be a plus for some people, I think for the right type of person, it can also be a drawback. Especially because one thing that's taken into account for the sleep score is what time you go to bed, and it penalizes you if you go to bed late or even early. It wants you going to bed consistently at the same time, which is the best way to do it. That is like science backed. But I think for a certain type of person, the idea of their bed grading them every night is going to create more anxiety and is therefore just going to make their sleep worse. And my last thing on my list of bad things about the 8 Sleep, and this one's very serious. I don't like the name. I think it's a bad name. Like, they put sleep in it, which makes me think that the thought process was like, okay, we need to name this something that conveys what the product is. But then in front of it, they put 8? I looked into it, and apparently this is a reference to the 8 hours of sleep that's typically recommended. That explanation didn't really turn it around for me. I don't like it. But in all seriousness, overall, I think the 8 Sleep is a great product. It's definitely improved my sleep quality and the sleep quality of my partner. And every single night I lay down on this thing and I feel the cooling sensation underneath me and I think, I love this thing. And whenever I'm traveling and I have to sleep on a bed that doesn't have an 8 Sleep, I miss it. So I think it's great, and I really wish that we could end the video here. But we gotta talk about the membership. This is a drawback that gets its own section. It's the most infuriating thing about the 8 Sleep, and it's really got nothing to do with the 8 Sleep product itself. It's more to do with their business model. In order to even purchase an 8 Sleep in the first place, you have to sign up for a membership. There are 2 plans. They're basically identical, except that the more expensive plan gives you a longer 5-year warranty. But for most people, you're paying $15 a month. That's right, a subscription for your bed. Now, after the first year, you can cancel the subscription, but that strips all of the features from the 8 Sleep that make it a good product. With no membership, you get static temperature control, and that's it. No automatic adjustments throughout the night, even through just a manual schedule. No temperature alarm, no vibration alarm, no sleep tracking reports. You can set a temperature, and that's it. It stays that temperature until you manually change it, which is nowhere near as good. That's not worth the price of admission. So essentially, you just have to pay that $15 a month forever. And that's, frankly, insulting. Now, it used to not be as bad. They used to have a model that I would consider reasonable. Without a subscription, you could still set a manual schedule where the temperature would change based on just the time of night that you program, but you didn't get autopilot, which I think is fair. Autopilot is a thing that they're continually improving. There's development costs associated. So autopilot strikes me as fair game as far as something to charge extra for. But I guess the manual scheduling was good enough for too many people because they pulled the rug right out from under that, and they moved the manual scheduling behind the membership as well. You know, what makes me most angry about this is actually the vibration alarm. Not because I think it's the best, most important feature that needs to be included, but because, okay, do you remember there was a story going around a while ago about a car manufacturer that was trying to charge a monthly subscription fee to use the heated seats that were already built into the car? And that sparked a whole bunch of outrage. Everybody was like, wow, how dystopian. This membership model thing has really jumped the shark. Imagine having to pay money every month to turn on hardware that you own. They got absolutely dragged for that, and 8 Sleep is doing the exact same thing. The hardware to make the mattress cover vibrate is already there. It's built in. It's hardware that you own, but you just can't turn it on. You just can't use it without paying 8 Sleep more money every month.
It's totally unfair. It's not right.
And the way they've structured this makes a lot of people mad. It is not hard to find comment threads of people furious about the situation and refusing to ever touch an 8 Sleep product until this changes. So if it's creating all of this negative sentiment and potentially costing new sales, then why do they continue to do it this way? Well, I have a theory. You see, 8 Sleep is a company that is backed by venture capital, meaning they have accepted funding from venture capitalist investors. And they're positioning themselves in that space as a tech company. And 2 really important metrics that VC in the tech space want to see are MRR and ARR, monthly recurring revenue and annual recurring revenue. Now, don't get me wrong, monthly recurring revenue is helpful for any business to have. Any business is going to want that. And like I said, I think there are opportunities for 8 Sleep to generate that. But they're under a lot of pressure to make sure that that MRR number is high and continues to grow at a good rate, because that's what's going to keep their investors happy, which is going to allow them to raise more money if they want to do that. But they have a product that just doesn't really work that well with the subscription model, so they're really having to force it. But that's where they are now. They took VC money. There's really no going back. And for that reason, I don't really see this changing in any meaningful way in the near future. If you want to buy an 8 Sleep, this is something you just have to accept. But other than that, I mean, I love the product. Anyways, that's that. I'll step down from my soapbox now. If you are interested in an 8 Sleep, I do have a referral link in the description box down below. I think it's pretty clear that this is not a sponsored video, but 8 Sleep does have an affiliate program that's just open to anybody. So if you do end up wanting to purchase one, I'd just appreciate it if you did it through that link. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's a great zero-cost way to support the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Appreciate it. Peace.